This summer, when a group of Trinity students and professors sat down to research the university's history with experiential learning, they embarked on a journey 150 years in the making. I was proud to be a part of their project through a video interview, so I thought I might take the opportunity to turn the tables. This month, I invite you to listen to my conversation with this research team, including history professor Dr. Lauren Turek and students Peyton Tavardi and Jonathan Chapman. So the phrase experiential learning, and there's an echo when you say it the first time as if this is not the thing I normally talk about. What did it mean for you at the start? And then what does experiential learning mean for you now?
When we first started, I marketed this research to my friends and family as pretty much a study of internships, and that was it. Things that students did on their own, signed up for, ways to kind of pad their resumes and CVs. And as we did more and more research, I found that it was a much broader term, that it could be used to describe research, but also lab work, but also shadowing, pretty much anything that isn't traditional classroom learning. And so that's very hard to kind of pin down a definition for me, but really anything that gets students involved in thinking about things on their own through reflection and repetition, so that they're not just relying on a professor or faculty member to teach them various materials, but can also get involved in the process.
Mm-hmm. So you learned from the research that it's been happening since the very beginning. You did a lot of oral interviews, research, and different things. What would you say is sort of the state of experiential learning today at Trinity? Do just a few students do it? Is it for everyone?
So I like to describe the history of experiential learning with a bit of like a metaphor. So the university started and experiential learning was just like a little seed that was there but wasn't a big part of the university, but has grown and flourished over time to become this big institutional wide phenomenon that all students participate in, or at least most students, because students in almost every single field in one way or another, from business to STEM to even humanities like us, can participate experientially in learning in one way or another.
I think one of the exciting things, especially for this summer, is this project about experiential learning was also an experiential learning process. So the students, again, a range of fields, not only did they all learn how to do a certain amount of construction and design to build a physical exhibit, they also learned some programming in order to create a digital exhibit. And so they've gained all of these skills. So regardless of your field, having that experiential learning opportunity gives you skills that you might not otherwise develop in the classroom, but that are incredibly valuable when you go out looking for a job.
Mm-hmm. So as you look at all of this material you've organized together, and you're trying to get people to think about some unique project or some special find, do you have a favorite that you'd point them toward learning about?
I have three favorites that are very near and dear to my heart because I've studied them so much, like personally, during this project. There was the home economics department that lasted from about the 1920s to the 1960s. They had their own cottage on campus where they were able to practice experiential learning by cooking and cleaning and sewing in an actual house. So they had their whole, like a lab to themselves, basically. There was also a military science program that was very interesting to read about. And we even had an aviation program for 2 years.
I think one of the things that is most helpful for people to think about is that reflection period. So often those most exciting or beneficial projects, it is much later after you've graduated that you think back on them and say, this really shaped how I think about this type of problem. This shaped how I approach these challenges in my life, or why I want to continue learning. And it's only later and in retrospect that we realize just how foundational those were to us. And that can happen in the classroom, as you guys were saying. Pretty much all Trinity professors are doing experiential learning in the classroom and outside of the classroom. And so you're coming away with that. Maybe in the moment you don't know that you're doing experiential learning, but it is changing you for the better every time you do it.
The roots of experiential learning at Trinity run deep, but they're the kind of roots that continue to grow, to expand, and to anchor new ideas. As the university continues to embark on new paths of discovery, I ask you, how did experiential learning at Trinity change the course of your college adventures, your careers, your lives? Share your stories with me. They could become a part of this public history project. I truly enjoy hearing from our community. Together, we are confident, curious catalysts, ready and willing to learn from the opportunities around us. And together, we will accelerate what's next for Trinity, We are a force in motion.